Happy Wednesday. This devotional is about hope, that hope is the thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in my soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that has kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. This poem is by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers. And this poem, you could say, is a hymn of praise or doxology. It highlights the human capacity for hope, that hope is strong and hope is relentless. The poem portrays this bird that no matter what, no matter rain or shine, gale or storm, good or bad, that it continues to sing. Hope is what allows the human soul to reimagine. Hope ushers in courage and instigates risk-taking. Hope enlivens the soul. Hope releases that stale breath that is stuck inside of us so that we can breathe in fresh air and newness. And hope is mighty. Because no matter how little the bird or tiniest of glimmer, hope has the power to transform. What follows this devotional is a video made by a friend of mine. And in the video, you'll hear some familiar voices like mine and some unfamiliar voices too. The video is entitled Thoughts on Being Human in Crisis. It's about finding signs of hope and remembering that those signs are always present. As Christians, we live as people of hope. We live as people who are living in the light of the resurrection. Jesus has risen. Love has conquered death. God is love. And where there is love, there is hope. Hope lives inside of each of us. It doesn't need to be invited in. Hope is the refusal to accept the reading of reality as truth with a capital T. And so, in that sense, hope is subversive because it's actively waiting to take hold and to disturb what is settled. Hope is that deeply rooted assurance that God does not quit on us, even when there is evidence warranting God's quitting. Hope is believing that transformation is always, always possible. Hope is the thing with feathers.
A few years ago, a friend told me a story.
A wise woman once said to me,
I have baked more cookies in the last week than I have in the previous 5 years.
I've been thinking a lot since this whole pandemic got started about the Dust Bowl.
So there are a couple of different ways that I try to stay connected with my humanity during these strange times we are living in.
I try to express gratitude for my life every day.
Something I often remind myself is to just breathe.
Put one foot in front of the other.
He went to an international climate change conference, And at the end of each day, the attendees would, of course, talk about how hopeless things were. You can imagine they felt pretty depressed, pretty down.
It's not so much that I normally eat a lot of cookies, but rather that cookies made from scratch and the way they make the kitchen smell are a quintessential emblem of hominess and safety.
My daughter wanted to watch a documentary about the Dust Bowl, and it actually gave me so much comfort, and it made me feel so connected to my grandma, who, when the Dust Bowl was going on, she was a farmer's wife with a new baby.
I'm giving my dog, Bernadette, an extra amount of love. She has no idea the world is any different at this time, which is pretty cute.
And one night in the middle of the conference, one of the attendees stood up and said to the rest of them, "What's the point of saving the world if we're miserable? What's the point if we can't at least enjoy ourselves?"
Where there is breath, there is life.
And I remember her telling me stories about how the dust storms would start and you could see them coming, and she would wet sheets and hang them in the windows so that not as much dust could get in.
I've been running along the seawall here in Vancouver, which I think helps me to process my thoughts and keeps me grounded.
Touch the earth. Feel grass under your feet. Bury toes in the sand and soil.
That's part of what I have been doing in response to the uncertainty and sudden changes in schedule brought about by the pandemic. I've leaned back on comforting touchstones, stabilizing routines, and reassuring structure to steady myself.
It made me think about how in trauma, when we're confronted about something that we don't know, we scan the environment for something we can compare it to. And as we've scanned the environment for this pandemic, and what can we compare it to, we've come up a little bit short.
Take the moment. Take it all in. Look around you. Look into yourself. We've been given the gifts. Sometimes we just need reminders to use them.
And I've really carried that message with me. What's the point of surviving if we don't leave space for joy?
Feel your heartbeat and listen to the birds chirping and the wind blowing. Listen for people talking and children giggling.
I truly believe that we should leave room for all of our big feelings, that there's no right or wrong feelings, there's no good or bad feelings.
So breathe. Breathe in the new. Breathe out the old.
Before you actually put your feet on the floor, first thing in the morning, sit on the edge of your bed and just open up your heart.
So I started thinking about my grandma going through the Dust Bowl and thinking that this is kind of like that, right? Like we know, we can see the storm on the horizon, we know that it's bad, but we don't have a way to categorize it. What we know now, what they didn't know then, was that the Dust Bowl was temporary. And it actually filled me with a ton of hope that this time that we're living through could yield some new ways of thinking or new ways of doing things that are better for the environment and better for us.
I do encourage people to leave space for joy, to notice small things, to be real.
And I also really love to ride my motorcycle because it puts me in a meditative state where nothing else really seems important.
Run your hands through water. Smell the fresh cut grass. Seek the shapes in the clouds. Nourish your body with food. Listen to the good happening in the world.
Feel gratitude. I mean, like, really feel gratitude within your heart.
But that it's scary to see the dark clouds on the horizon and know that something's headed to us, and that at some point we have to weather the storm, and it will pass, and hopefully we'll be able to come through this with a new way of looking at things.
And I think, yeah, if you're out there saving your life and making sure you have enough supplies and masks and whatever to make it through this situation, but you're not finding some joy, at least some little bit, then what's the point?
Connect in new ways.
I keep the soothing rhythms of my rituals, for I know from experience that this is part of my strength, peace, and resilience.
The grateful heart is a very powerful thing.
Don't save your life, but forget to live it.
And know, wherever you find yourself, that you belong and you are loved.
Walk.
Just breathe.
Girl, you better try to have fun no matter what you do.